Hello and welcome to my shop. This video is about my shop. In 2020, I was able to add on to my house a 900 square foot hobby woodworking space. My aim with this series is to help someone in the design phases of a similar project by showing all the decisions I've had to make. So stay tuned. This episode is about my shop's floor. So the room is 45 feet long and 20 feet wide. And overall, it's slab on grade, meaning that there's some stone, then a concrete slab, and then your room. This is a split floor. So the first 10 feet of the room, which you can see the line right here, is a concrete slab flush with the surface. And then there's a step down, 6 3/8, that occupies the rest of the room. And within that step down area is a floating wooden floor, which I'll get to in a bit. But first I want to talk about why I did a step down. My main goal with the working area of the shop was to have a wooden floor that would give a little bit as I walk across it, just to save wear and tear on my knees and feet. And then I wanted to retain an area of the floor with the concrete at the surface as sort of an insurance policy in case someday I got something really, really heavy like a big metal lathe or something like a ceramics kiln that would only be happy on concrete. All right, so here's how the floor works. So there are 4 treated 2x4s placed on their wide sides down, running the long way of the room. 2 on either wall, and then 2 running down in thirds. And now crossing those treated 2x4s are 2x4s on their narrow side, and these are on 12 inches on center, running the short way of the room. And then on top of that, we have an 1.1/8 layer of subfloor material. This is not your mom's subfloor 3/4 inch OSB. This is 1.1/8 plywood. This is pretty heavy stuff. So that has been affixed to the top. This is all professionally done up to code and stuff. So these treated 2x4s were power nailed into the slab with some sort of Remington gunpowder powered nailer, and then everything else was glued and screwed with construction adhesive. And on top of that, which you can see here, I've used a 5mm loose lay vinyl tile product. I got this stuff at floorstoyourhome.com. I'm down here on the floor to talk about the loose lay product. I'm really pleased with this stuff. It was about $2.70 per square foot shipped. That was from Indiana up to Wisconsin. So not a bad price. It's easy to install. As you might be aware, loose lay tile simply just gets dropped in place. And depending upon the application, you will apply a contact cement in strips on the floor to help seal it down. So here's a little demo of what it's like. So this particular strip is not glued down. So as you can imagine, if this piece gets destroyed or whatever, it's easy to replace. And the strips are heavy and dense enough where they just kind of want to be in place. I will remark though that my big table saw, whose mobile base has metal wheels, will make these strips buckle if I push it like directly in line with each strip. And that's because I applied rows of adhesive about every 10 feet. Of those rows of adhesive are perpendicular to the flooring. And that was based on the manufacturer's recommendations. So I would suggest in an environment with heavy rolling loads to put your adhesive down, like say every 5 feet. And I'll note that only the table saw has caused problems with the stuff buckling. My other mobile tools, like the bandsaw, don't present any problems whatsoever. This stuff's been great. A last note on the tile, be sure to get lots of samples when you're picking this stuff out. and look for ones that have a noticeable grippy pattern to them. I noticed that in my old basement shop, which had a painted concrete floor, the floor often gets slippery with piles of sawdust around the lathe. And with this grippy surface, I haven't once found any kind of slippiness. It's very safe, good material. So my knees and ankles have liked the floating wooden floor, but what about my tools? For general woodworking activities, the floating floor has been wonderful. My big table saw doesn't transmit any vibration. My jointer planer, which is around 500 pounds, transmits a bit of vibration through the floor, but nothing which has affected its operation. I'm standing here by the lathe because this is the only tool which has shown a weakness in the floor. So when turning a large, out of balance, wet bull blank, say 14 inches in diameter, even on slow speeds, the vibration transmitted through the floor is pretty apparent. So I had to keep the speed low until I get it trued up. Now that's the case with any wood turning operation, but it's much more noticeable on this floor as compared to a concrete one. It isn't big of enough deal to warrant moving the lathe or making a little concrete pad here, but it's just something I want to point out. If you're considering this kind of floor and you do a lot of big time wood turning.